Hello, don't go anywhere. This is the wrong place, but it might turn out to be the right one. You're here with Joe, and
Aakash, and you're listening to the We've Got
we've got
Nothing
nothing
Left.
left podcast. Oh, I thought
I,
we were saying that
I thought I was going to say it.
together. Oh, all right. Let's just go. Get
Let's
into it.
just go. Hello, how you
We're
doing?
back. We're back.
We are back
Yeah, not
indeed.
bad. Yeah. Good to be. I don't know.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It's been a while since we seen each other.
Yeah. It
Actually,
feels like
last time
ages.
we saw each other was watching this film. That we're going to
Yeah.
talk about. It's a perfect
And
segue.
look, I don't want to jump ahead myself, but finally can talk about something that I actually enjoyed.
Oh my God, has he got something left? It seems so.
I,
Because
I I think no, because
I know what you're going to say. As
this
soon as
was
we
the
walked into the
end.
cinema, exactly, you said that. I was sitting
It
down with my popcorn, excited to watch this film. He's like, "This is the end of the MCU."
it is the end of the MCU. There's
Well,
nothing after this.
the worst thing is, I didn't think you were right until
It's the end.
I looked at the upcoming films that they're doing, which I think we're
Yeah,
going to talk about in another video,
yeah,
future
yeah,
of the MCU. I did apostrophes with my fingers. How do you say that? And like you say, end open quote, end quote.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
the open quote, the MCU end quote. Anyway, yes, that is something we'll visit near the end of the video, and
yeah.
just touch on. But this is definitely the end of an era. I think it's safe to
It
say.
is. Yeah,
But
the
saying
end of a
that,
trilogy, and go on.
the ending was. I think he stuck the landing.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I think this. Look, I'm just gonna come out and say also, Guardians One I thought was brilliant. It was the first proper venture into the cosmic side of the MCU and Marvel in the MCU, not in the comics, obviously. Um, Volume Two, I wasn't a massive fan of it. Um, I thought Guardians One was the perfect sort of balance between a director's vision and what the MCU is about. And then Volume Two, while it's good, I rewatched it the other day actually, but while it's good, it just it relies too heavily on, oh, this person is funny and that's funny, and it's like
Yeah.
with Drax just laughing constantly, it just got annoying. Yeah, oh damn,
I remember when
no,
that film came out, and that was the only thing
yeah,
you had something against Drax for a
I did,
while.
I did, I did,
The
because that was
Vendetta.
just so, yeah, it was so annoying. But I rewatched it and it's not as bad as I
It
remember.
fits into
But
this wider story as well, like you were
yeah,
saying.
but then volume three comes around, and what the fuck? You know what? After Ant-Man Quantumania, I had zero nothing for this franchise anymore.
Mm,
Nothing. I thought that was the worst experience at the cinema I've had, maybe ever. And Thor: Love and Thunder, which I think I've spoken about before. I might
mm.
have actually cut it out of one of our episodes because I went on a rant about it. But I think we might talk about that in our uh, I can't
And the curse
speak.
of the MCU.
I know,
Don't
in
worry, I
our
got you.
MCU video, yeah.
But then
Um,
also, that was actually the last time we saw the Guardians, wasn't it? So it does make sense to talk
well,
about their
well, Thor: Love and Thunder actually isn't canon
no.
in my eyes.
Oh, I was gonna say, why was I believing you like, oh,
Yeah,
you're Kevin Feige's secret son. He's in
no.
control of
Well,
everything.
all you've got to do is wear baseball caps, and that's it.
Yeah.
But volume three comes around, and I mean, I was not expecting to love it as much as I will go and see it again.
Yeah. I was just
And
thinking that, yeah. I want
yeah,
to watch it
it
again.
it was just, it was everything you want from an ending, and the ending to a trilogy, and the ending to a franchise, because this is the end of the MCU.
Yeah, not the Guardians, the MCU in
No,
total.
yeah,
And I mean,
no,
thematically or like factually, it's the end of James Gunn's involvement in the MCU because he's
yeah,
obviously worked
yeah,
as writer and director for the Guardians films. He acted as a producer for the Avengers films, probably in the sense of the Guardians' involvement in the Avengers films, which
yeah.
you actually mentioned in the sense of the Gamora thing. I didn't realize that when you said He was annoyed,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Or
I can't remember what I read exactly, but it was sort of like he had planned like the three films out, and
yeah,
that just wasn't in it. Like she
her
wasn't supposed to
death.
die like that. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
yeah,
but I just think, obviously when I say it's the end of the MCU, I'm joking because there's loads of shit
it
coming
will
out
never
after
end.
this. It will never end. We will be 60 years old and it'll still be going in some form.
Mm,
Um, but I say it jokingly, but I also say it truthfully in the sense that Volume 3 just felt like such a thematical, you know,
farewell.
finish. Yeah, and
Yeah,
farewell. That's a perfect word.
yeah.
Farewell. Um, and I mean, I'm again skipping ahead. We'll go for a proper review
Mm.
of it, but um, I mean, obviously spoilers ahead
I
for
was
the
gonna
whole
say,
thing.
yeah. Why you won't
But
listen to this?
yeah, um, but the use of Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine at the end, it just felt like,
Like
you know,
leavers at school or something. That's what I had the energy of, didn't
yeah, yeah,
it?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh,
It was just
yeah.
like it's over. It felt like a party to celebrate. I mean, sure, there's been duds like I've mentioned, Ant-Man and Thor, but not just them. There's been loads of them, but it
Hmm.
just felt like a celebration of what's come, and it's gone now. But it's not. There's so much more coming,
Yeah, but the
and it just
Guardians
felt
was
like such
special.
a,
Like,
yeah,
as a franchise on its own, what I realized is like the key and the importance of having a plan because by like you said, James had these 10 years to really map out the story and map out the characters'
yeah,
arcs, and he really landed on every single Guardians arc as well, which is quite hard to juggle them all. And
yeah,
I think that's why the film was good and felt like it was the best thing since Avengers, because Avengers works in the sense of it's a culmination of the plan of the entire sort of all the phases put together and all these different
yeah,
sort of storylines. And that's what made those Avengers films really good. And this is what Guardians managed to capture just in its own
yeah.
sort of organism.
I'm I'm gonna go as far as to say this is better than Endgame because as much as that was an ending for the 10 years of the MCU. It just and look, don't get me wrong, Endgame's great, but I just feel like this was such a I don't know, it was feel good and sad and like you encapsulated it with farewell. It
Yeah,
was just a farewell to a part of our childhood as well. I mean, look, Guardians came out when we were what, 14, maybe
teenagers, yeah. So
15, 14, 15.
developmental years for sure of going
Yeah,
into
so
children
yeah, I
to
wouldn't say childhood
yeah.
maybe, but
Well,
but
definitely, yeah,
yeah, a big
developmental years, yeah.
yeah. I remember staying up um when I was 14, uh although it's long years
A
ago.
lifetime ago.
But yeah, I remember staying up when Guardians 1's trailer came out.
Yeah.
Um and it was like 1 a.m. and I was so excited about it. And I hyped it up so much and I was so happy about it when it came out.
Mm.
Um, and I think that sort of holds something for me. And even the Avengers films, I was excited to see how the Guardians interacted with everyone else.
It's
Um,
sorry to jump
Go
in,
on.
but it's the fact as well that they were in such uncharted territory. They really were like
Yeah.
I'd go as far as say C-list characters in
Yeah,
the
no, yeah, yeah,
Marvel
yeah.
canon, and the
Well,
fact
that's
that
what they did well, wasn't it?
yeah, that's when it sort of demonstrated that it sort of showed the standard Marvel can bring to their films, and the fact
Yeah,
that they can't keep the standard of you getting emotional over a raccoon to bloody as far as to say sort of Ant-Man, for example, who's quite a strong character. The fact that them two can't have similar sort of emotional connections is really alarming.
yeah,
Actually, and that goes on
yeah,
to this whole idea of the curse of the MCU. But this
yeah. But we'll
Guardians
get into
film,
that.
yeah, this
Yeah, I
Guardians
think.
film managed to break it, at
Yeah,
least for this moment.
yeah, and you know what? I think if we actually get into sort of the
Mm,
film, just even starting off with it, just starting off with it, I feel like it, when it started, I was you're seated and the comic flashes come by, and with all of them as the Guardians, I thought
Yes.
that was even that just felt like okay, this is an ending here.
And it did have that
Um,
fanfare music as well, which was nice because we
yeah,
said that had been overplayed and you lost the sort of feeling.
yeah, you lost the feeling of it. And then just to have it focus around Rocket, I thought was great.
Mm.
Just from the start with Creep by
Creep, yeah.
Radiohead, and everyone's settled apart from, well, everyone's settling, I would say, with
Yeah,
them settled
coping.
on Nowhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
coping, yeah, it's a better word. On Nowhere, they've got their Guardians of the Galaxy sign up.
Mm.
They're doing their business, they're sorting things out. And then someone from Rocket's past comes back and just fucks it all up for him.
Yeah, connected
Um,
to his past, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
introduction of Adam Warlock into the MCU,
yeah, which
which
is so funny.
I
Brilliant.
just find it funny that Will Poulter definitely was like, it's been a long time since we've seen the character do one of those sort of muscular transformations, just because we've seen him so like
Yeah,
from as a kid, really, from Son of Rambo
yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
and grow up.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
the fact that he had like 10 minutes of screen time was like, I actually made a
Yeah,
comment that this is similar to the idea of, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the idea of putting Venom in Spider-Man 3 when you have sort of influx of all these different characters that you need to try and include. Because I watched this interview with James Gunn, and someone asked him what was the hardest part of the film of like trying to fit it all in together, and he mentioned the incorporation of Adam Warlock just because he sort of teased him in the second film, but he wanted to use him
yeah.
in the second film actually a bit more.
Oh, I
So
see.
he's felt like he had to promise the fans to put him in. But you know what? By putting less time for him, it definitely didn't detract from the Guardians' overall arc. So I think it
Mate,
worked.
Adam Warlock in this one film of 10 minutes of screen time had more of an arc than most characters in the whole of their
Exactly.
films. Like,
Yeah.
I think James Gunn is gonna be, he's him leaving is gonna be a massive, massive blow to them. Massive.
Mm.
I just think where his writing style, I think, was on point here as well. Um, from the start, where I mean, as well, the usage of music is just,
It
yeah,
slapped. That's what I put.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's unrivaled. I think in
The
not in soundtrack, but I just mean in the usage of the positions of where the songs come in.
mm,
Um,
it really grounds the film and makes you feel
it
like
does,
you're
yeah,
part of it.
yeah,
And he was the
and
first to do that.
I think as well, just the whole um sort of structure of where the Guardians were at the start and where they ended up was such in this film. I mean, not
Yeah.
from where they were first introduced, was such a great way of showing even just growth in this film. Like,
Yeah.
if you hadn't seen the others, I don't
That's what
even think it would be that much of an issue.
I was thinking of that because I know someone that hasn't seen them, hasn't seen like just any Marvel
Yeah,
films, is like bloody hell. But I was like thinking, if we did go see this film,
it wouldn't be
James
that
definitely
much.
he did cover the exposition of the Guardians' journey, especially like this follows Endgame. So there is that scene where Peter Quill's explaining and sort of his mistakes following Infinity War, which I found really funny because it's sort of addressing the
Yeah,
fans'
yeah,
hate for him. So that was good, and the Infinity Stones, but also the future of this character. I think it stands on its own as a movie you can watch by itself and enjoy it, which is why I sort of agree with what you said that it's better than Endgame because Endgame is in a different class because it's the culmination of the entire sort of MCU phases 1 to 3, but the Guardians film is a culmination of the Guardians films, but it also stands as a film on its own. And that's
yeah.
really hard to get both. But it's just a
No,
good
agreed.
film. It's a fun film. That's what I wrote.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah,
also curious as well what you thought with what the tone or what the age rating of this film actually was, because I think it's sort of made for our age. That's why I liked it.
yeah. Um, I- you know what? I've seen a lot of articles and posts on Twitter and things about parents complaining that it was
Graphic.
too much, yeah, too
Mm.
graphic for a younger audience, and I think it's absolutely fucking bollocks, to be honest.
Mm.
It was made for more of our age, but I don't know if it was because
It treats
you know,
kids like grown-ups. It's like it's not say 'cause kids aren't
yeah.
idiots as well.
Look, I'm gonna
Um,
say Indiana Jones.
yeah.
They were originally PG. They
Mm.
have people's faces melting.
It almost
Um,
mirrored that. I think it was almost influenced by it, but the High
yeah,
Evolutionary's actual
yeah,
face. That actually is a really good connection, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you're like, I think the film that created the PG-13 12A or
Mm.
12 rating was Gremlins because
Yeah.
I think it was. I might be wrong, but um everything before that was a PG. So, I think people have just become so sensitive to things like that, to violence and things
Yeah.
in films. And I will be very quick on this, but
Mm.
it relates to it. The recent Evil Dead Rise film came out, which I watched and I thought was brilliant.
Mm.
Um, I'm a big fan of horror and everything. I hope we do an episode on it one day and just horror in general. But everyone was saying that, oh, it's so violent and blah, blah, it's so disgusting. It wasn't really. And I think
Mm.
just people have become really sensitive to it.
It's,
Um,
it's
and
this
it's good.
idea. It's the idea if it serves the story as well, isn't it? And
Yeah, 100%. They, there's senseless violence and gratuitous kills and all of this and even
yeah,
language. I know he
cool.
used the word fuck in this.
Oh, it
But
worked
like
though. It was
it
so worked.
worked.
Like
Like
you couldn't
who
have used any other
cares?
word. It was brilliant. That was so
I
funny,
mean,
that
do you know
bit.
what? And what I thought to myself is, you know, fat like parents, mums and dads are going, oh, he used the word fuck, and then they go and I can't fucking believe he fucking did that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't believe they said it in a film, but you probably say it 24/7
You
in
know,
front of your kids. So,
it's that
who
sketch.
cares?
You know that sketch when he's like he's asking the kids, "Are you excited for the zoo, kids? That we're gonna go and see the lions?" And then he gets massive road rage and like starts swearing. Definitely, that's what these parents are doing. Their
Yeah,
kids
you
aren't
know what?
stupid. They go to school. They
It's
like,
people
yeah,
love a moan for a moan. It's like
yeah, yeah, definitely. And
this was uh, excuse my language, parents. This is a fucking good film. Um,
yeah,
I haven't
sorry,
seen.
mum.
Yeah, sorry, mum. Sorry, dad. I haven't seen anyone really berating it. That's the only thing I've really
Yeah,
seen. The scores. I don't really rate Rotten Tomatoes scores because sometimes it can just
yeah, I
be
saw
ridiculous.
that. I
But
was just like, ugh,
no,
yeah.
no, that's good. It's good. It's
But
good for this one.
yeah, I
Um,
saw 65% somewhere though. Let me just check. It wasn't
65%.
something a bit low when it first, let me just get them up on
Whoever that
because
is wrong.
8
Sorry.
8 82% by Rotten Tomatoes, which I still think could be higher because
That could be higher,
the
yeah.
general fan opinion is 95%, which I think is accurate. 65% by Metacritic. Metacritic,
Oh,
do one, mate. You're bloody
yeah,
wrong.
do one. Yeah,
I I
100%.
rescind your your vote.
No, definitely.
Pack your
That's
bags.
ridiculous.
But yeah, and I also think like the fact that PETA endorsed the film, sort of animal rights group, really
Yeah, yeah,
showcased
yeah.
this
Yeah.
film. This film of having Rocket sort of lead it, it really gave a different lens to watching
Yeah, I agree.
filmmaking, and the fact that you really connected to him. It was an incorporation of the visual effects, which we can get on to later because it bloody finally worked.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't any issues. Um,
Yeah.
Sean Gunn's obviously use of being in that mocap suit and doing all the physicalization of Rocket, because
Yeah.
not a lot of people
Yeah.
may know, but James Gunn's brother is practically on set acting as Rocket. He's done from the Guardians films to the
And
Avengers
if you don't know
films.
who it is, it's Kraglin as well. Kraglin,
Yes. Yeah. And
you know.
Bradley Cooper. Oh my God. I said
Yeah.
like if they did like a joint Oscar, Bradley Cooper and Sean Gunn for sure. And because Bradley did something which I haven't had in a while, but he really like tugged on my heartstrings, and I feel like this film, being as
Yeah.
cosmic and adventurous as it was, had all these human themes of like grief and loss and suffering. And when you experience that in real life, you sort of you you connect to a film differently, and it's really sort of gratifying to see it done right. And
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to
Yeah.
say was like I saw this connection between, do you know, the point where Lila dies is really where Rocket's entire sort of personality and sort of
Journey
yeah,
begins and
begins.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he really let out this wail and
Mm,
like cry, and he was, and I was thinking he sounded like a baby, and it's because he was like he definitely was really young when it
yeah.
happened.
It's like primal and
Yeah, and that's what it
yeah,
was. It was
raw.
animalistic and it was human,
Mm,
and I really felt it. And I realized that that Henry Cavill tried to do the same thing when he snaps Zod's neck. The whale was almost similar,
yeah.
but the difference is that the film really built up the tension towards it happening, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
cared
Yeah.
about Lila
Yeah.
dying, not so much Zod. I didn't care.
No, look, I want to sort of touch on the fact that um you can't fake heart.
Yeah, yeah, you can't.
One film that tried to do it, my best film, best picture nominee, Thor: Love and Thunder. Um, it really, really tried to fake heart. Um, you know, suddenly Jane Foster's back, who I didn't give a shit about anyway. But I didn't give a
Pers
shit about an otter before this film, and I did by the
yeah,
end of it. Like you can reverse that, but not by putting Thor in a hot dog costume and suddenly, like it was sad that she had cancer, obviously, in
and
the
that
film.
storyline was so powerful. They really could have
Yeah,
got the
but
energy from this film
it
in
was
there.
wasted. It was used
Yeah,
as
it
a
was.
joke.
It
Uh,
was. It was
it
really,
was
yeah.
ridiculous.
This
Um,
film is not in one genre. It has drama and comedy to it. But I
yeah,
think it's more of a drama.
but and look, I love Taika Waititi in some ways because he's
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows. I think is one of the funniest films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But this was like full on. I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want,
Because,
and it really was
yeah.
so. It was just so annoying.
And,
But compared to Guardians, sorry to interrupt, but compared
yeah,
to
no.
Guardians, it's just leaps and bounds. Like it just proves how well one director and writer can get a genre than another. Basically the same, not the same story, but the same setting of a cosmic. You've got the same. Um, I don't know what the word is, but uh, utensils, I guess. You've got the same landscape and drawing board, and just being used in such different ways where one is used so well and so contained, but on the same time at the same time expanding upon that contained group of individuals. Where Thor: Love and Thunder is just a pile of hot shit.
It's not, it doesn't connect really to the full
No,
film. Like the full films are all very singular and unique, and
no, yeah,
sometimes it's
yeah,
nice to have different tones. But this, like you said, it was all cohesive and interconnected, and that's why even characters like Mantis, who's only really had two Guardians films, she has her arc fulfilled. Drax has his arc fulfilled.
yeah,
Groot has his arc fulfilled. The
yeah,
only character that you know what, I think it does work because it's not what you wanted, but the relationship between Peter and Gamora, I really think that could have been expanded on and it could have
yeah,
been a happy ending, but it was actually realistic how it ended,
yeah.
maybe.
You know what? When they are back to back at the end, and
Yeah,
she says, "I bet we were fun," and he
yeah,
says, "Like you wouldn't believe" or something. Look, that it's an ending, and it could have ended so much like so much differently than it did.
yeah.
Um, you
But
know,
why not
they've
show
had
people
two
breaking
endings in
up?
a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
true. Or
but they've
being
had two
amicable.
endings in a way where um, Thanos took
Avengers.
her.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
And this,
It's closure.
it was nice because a lot of people were like, I saw one theory, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, oh well, because in the comics, Adam Warlock has the Soul Stone embedded in his head.
Hmm.
Um, and they were like, oh, what if it's a sort of
Soulstone, yeah.
he's linked to the
Mm.
soul plane, and he can put the consciousness of the old Gamora into this new Gamora's body. And but then it's just like you're just backtracking.
And it doesn't
You
it goes against that trope. Like people unfortunately die. Like you
Yeah,
can't
yeah, people die,
you have to learn how
and
to live with it, innit?
you don't always get what you want. Peter
Exactly.
Quill wanted this Gamora to remember him and love him in the same way that the old one did,
Because
but she doesn't, and she
he
will
wasn't
never do
happy in
that.
himself as well. That was the
No,
whole
yeah,
message of the film. It's like you need to stop relying on other people for your
yeah,
happiness. And what each film touched upon was the fact that he was always looking for family, whether it be in the Guardians themselves
hmm,
or Ego,
yeah,
but he had family on Earth. He just
yeah,
sort of he ran away from it. I know he was a kid,
yeah,
but he and he got abducted. But
yeah. No, no, but he's
he could have
still,
gone back. He went back to Earth. He could have gone
yeah.
back, and it was like he had to deal with his problems and face them.
But it's almost I like it where a lot of films sort of present the stigma that closure can only come from happiness, and there can only be closure and a happy ending.
Hmm.
But this really it showed that you can get sort of you can it's still sad, but you can get closure from a sad ending.
Yeah, I think so. I completely agree.
Um,
It was happy, but it was a sad ending,
yeah,
wasn't it?
because even though he'll never have Gamora again, she's still
Still
they
had that
still
time. Yeah.
gave closure to each other almost, because she must have been questioning what the fuck, like her
Yeah.
what her place was.
Props to Zoe Saldana. Like that must be such a
Yeah,
hard acting job to completely ignore everything you've done and then like
yeah,
well, I mean she's an
yeah, yeah,
actress.
yeah,
That's what she's getting
yeah.
paid for. But
But yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
so,
Yeah, well, yeah,
yeah.
but still, it's still a hard job sometimes.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder. But I just want to also touch on the actors, and again, they're done. Most of them, they're done with it.
Well,
Um,
let's just get moved to DCU. Because clearly there
yeah,
will be
exactly,
DCU
100%.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana's done. She said she's done with it. Dave Bautista's done. He was done when they originally fired James Gunn
Oh
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
But he's done.
She might
Pom, yeah, I reckon she's pretty much done.
she won't do anything without Drax probably. They're like a good
No,
buddy, Dumb and Dumber. That's what they've been described
yeah,
as.
yeah, yeah.
Nebula,
Um,
yeah.
Nebula. I saw a post from Karen Gillan where she was like, "Oh, I hung up the Nebula suit for the final time, or I took the makeup off for the final time."
Yeah.
It might have been the final time during that shoot, but still, it just sounds like they're all pretty much, done with it. And I'm glad because they've all got closure now. Their
Exactly.
story is done. Um, and that's an issue with the comics where the MCU will fall into it. They just
Yeah.
keep going with these characters,
It,
and when they die, they come back. But like when they go, they come back. There's never an ending, and I think this
yeah.
is just such a perfect way to just finish it
Yeah.
with these characters.
If those characters do come back, they're either going to be variants or different actors playing the characters as the
Oh yeah,
variants, which will
the
be
variant shit just
yeah.
makes it's just annoying.
But at the same
It's just
time,
an
it's like
excuse.
it's happening now. Like in DC, Superman's being recast, and it's this whole new universe. But I mean, what's
Yeah.
to say you can't have the same universe, but be like, okay, let's recast Nebula and have
Yeah,
her
I guess.
as
I
this different
guess.
type of like, like if it serves a story and stuff, and it's a good way of like giving someone else a shot, at least in the sense of like,
Yeah.
let's not bring back this character and bleed them dry. Like Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, he got bored of it. He revitalized the
Mm.
character, and now it's gone rubbish again. And it's a bit like
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, I agree. And like, I know at the end it says the legendary
Star Lord.
Star Lord will return, which
Chris
is
Pratt.
fine because he's on Earth and
Mm. Did
he's
Chris
gonna
Pratt
get
know that
recruited
though?
somehow.
Because I'm pretty sure
Maybe
he
not,
wrote
yeah.
somewhere. It was like it was a choice.
He's
He was
probably
gonna
done
come
with it as well.
back. Yeah.
But
We'll just recast him. Nah.
yeah.
But yeah, it makes sense. If they're gonna pop up, it will be these big sort of
Yeah,
crossover
like
movies.
Avengers style movies that
Yeah.
and do you know what? I'm gonna say it now. I think that those are the only films that I'm gonna really watch properly now at the cinema. Like
Yeah,
the Marvels, things like that. It just doesn't interest me anymore. I'm not interested in those characters whatsoever.
oh, blimey.
Even the next Captain America film, I'm not interested in it.
Well,
But we'll
we'll
talk about
we'll
that
touch
properly.
that in another video
Yeah,
because yeah.
yeah.
And
But go on.
I was just thinking why this movie succeeded. I wrote they put the evil back in a villain and
I was just about to say about it. Yeah,
the
yeah,
high evolutionary, I argue, and you'll probably agree, was more villainous and intimidating than Kang ever
yeah.
was.
Look, I mean, this is our first proper Marvel thing. I guess we
Mm,
kind of have to talk about Kang quickly.
yeah.
Um, and less so much about Kang and more about Jonathan Majors. Look, I'm not 100% sure on what he's done. I haven't really read about it.
It's currently ongoing, isn't it, in the sense of his
Yeah, I
involvement
mean,
being.
his management's dropped him and that. So,
Mm,
I mean, it's a matter of time before Marvel says, "Yeah, you're out."
it's early enough
And
to
if
recast, I guess.
yeah,
Like
and if they're gonna recast him, fucking make the High Evolutionary a variant of Kang.
Loki, I wish well, he's definitely good as
And
the High Evolutionary, but that guy can
yeah,
act, man.
yeah,
Like, damn.
the High Evolutionary is maybe top three villains of the
Yes.
whole entire MCU, which isn't hard, but like you know, he could have easily been an Avengers level
Oh
villain.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, like I don't just mean in universe, I just mean like a whole. He could have been the next Thanos type villain. They
Do you
don't
know
need to just go to Kang
it?
straight away.
You know what? I think from what you're saying, I think it's literally just because the standard of villains that we've got have been so bad in the past that
Yeah,
we're sort of
yeah,
like exaggerating the High Evolutionary that he could have been even bigger. But this is what all villains should be in the sense of like for a singular film, the High
mm,
Evolutionary set the standard because you
yeah,
didn't have this kiddie trope of like, oh, but actually I'm a hero because what I'm doing is justified and I'm actually a good person and
yeah. He's
these are
just
bad
he's a
choices.
maniac.
Yeah, it's like exactly because like that trope only works for certain characters like Killmonger, for example.
Yeah,
He has these
yeah,
justifications and you understand where he's coming from, but he's still evil and he's still wrong, and the film makes that
yeah.
clear. But it should not that shouldn't then they started doing that for every single villain and I hated it because I wanted someone to really just find evil. And I'm not saying don't show their justifications because every villain thinks they're the hero of their own story, and that's fine.
Mm,
But I really needed to see someone that was just sort of vile and cruel because it really elevates the hero's stakes.
yeah.
And the fact that
Mm.
all he wanted to do was just kill this raccoon, which is like, it's not like massively villainous, but
Yeah,
it was
and
because of Rocket, our connection to Rocket.
yeah, and look, comparing him to Kang, um, I just from even Loki, I thought the performance for Kang or He Who Remains was just like I remember looking around to my
Theatrical.
mum and going, "Oh, this is like
Mm,
a bit much."
I completely agree,
Like
mate.
he's like jumping about the room and
Yeah,
like a maniac. And where when I called the High Evolutionary a maniac, I didn't mean like he's erratic. Well, he is, but like
it's
he's
egomaniac.
calm
Yeah.
and collected in a sense
Mm,
that he's just he's a precise maniac rather than I'm going to jump about the room because that'll
yeah,
make me
he
look
was
really crazy.
he was selective of when he like
Yes,
would
yeah,
explode, like when Rocket was
just
crying.
a brilliant actor.
Yeah, and have
Like
brilliant direction.
let me
Yeah,
remind myself of his name because I don't want to butcher it like I've
yeah,
heard other people do, which I probably will.
because he was in the Peacemaker series, wasn't he? He made the transfer
Yeah,
from TV to movie by the use of James Gunn.
Chakudi Iwuji, maybe. I probably butchered that, but he
Yeah.
was incredible.
Hmm.
Uh, um, you know, compared to Kang,
I
going back to that.
think Kang doesn't work because I wrote this down. It's like Kang's his motives and stuff is so uncomprehendable. It's the destruction of an entire universe. I don't care about universe. I care about a raccoon.
Yeah.
And he didn't have
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
level of great writing potentially, but also the idea of like Marvel saying, okay, so our next big bad villain will be this actor and our character, and you have to
And you
accept
have
it,
to be scared of
and
him.
you have
And
to
it's like,
accept it, as
well,
opposed to why not just set the pieces naturally like you did
yeah.
with Thanos over a period of time, but don't make a film called the Kang Dynasty and like be like, okay, so he has to be the major force. Like I don't
Yeah.
we didn't get a choice at all. I don't know. I don't know if you can hear what I'm
No,
saying. Like
no, I
it
get
felt
that. I
forced.
get
It feels
that.
forced, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And the I know I keep going on about it, but the performance, like him in Ant-Man, it was just like
I will burn them out.
he
I'm
one word to describe him, and it's boring. It was just boring. It was
yeah.
like, I am villain man. You
Yeah.
must be scared of me. And it's like, I can't, well,
So
I'm
what are you
not, am
getting
I?
angry about? I don't know enough about you and I don't
And also,
care.
I'm sorry, but to to put your biggest next villain in the third Ant-Man film,
Oh my God. What?
it's just the worst decision they. I remember, I think I must have said to you when they first announced that
Yeah,
he'd be the main villain. I was like, nah, that's just that's like insulting.
exactly. There's a reason why Louise isn't included because then he would have just
Yeah,
completely condescended and patronized Kang if
yeah,
he
it's
was
just
there.
not. Modoc should have just been the villain for that movie. But
Yes.
anyway, we'll probably
Oh,
do a whole
it,
thing on that
I
anyway.
want to talk about that, or like I will talk
Yeah,
about it when it happens, but
yeah.
because that
It's
really could
just
have
so
worked.
it's shambles, mate. It's a shambles.
Okay, so this film, do you want to guess how much it's currently sitting at box office? Bear in mind it come out
Oh my
5 days
god.
ago. Oh, it's technically
I'm gonna
seven.
go with 300 mil worldwide.
You would be, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
If we had an editor, we would have inserted the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music. Dun, dun, dun. Joe,
Yeah.
you were correct.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
more or less, 329,839,062
Okay.
dollars around
Now, do we
that.
know how much it cost to make?
Oh, that's good. So is this the production budget? Yeah,
Yeah. So the
that is
budget of a film. Go on. How much is it?
250 million. So
Oh,
they've already made a
fucking
profit.
no. Well, no, they haven't. So
Why not?
so with a budget, hold on, with a budget, with a reported budget, you need to always double it
Okay,
because so whatever they spend on a film making it, they spend roughly the same amount promoting it.
marketing, yeah.
Yeah, because they still have to pay the actors for marketing and
Pay
promoting
the
it,
cinemas and
pay the
yeah.
cinemas, getting adverts in a Super Bowl. You know, an advert in a Super Bowl, a 15-second advert could cost $5 million to get
Really?
that. Yeah, let
I
me
guess
try and
so.
find out how
The
much.
visibility of it, yeah, so many people to see. Yeah, 100%. I mean, they'll definitely make this has been, like I said, 5 days. They're
Oh,
only 100 odd million away from Ant-Man. Guess how much Ant-Man made?
500,
No.
400.
464.
Oh,
You would,
worldwide.
yeah.
Oh, that's set in stone
That
as
was
well.
that was
That's a flop
400 million lower than Black Panther. Black Panther was near 1
near a
billion.
billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last film to get a billion was No Way Home, which makes sense as the fan service.
Yeah,
But
it's fan service. We'll make a
yeah,
whole video on that, an episode on
yeah.
that. I just had a
Oh,
look, and the cost to get a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl is $7 million.
bloody hell.
It's just always watched everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess like the trailers are almost as big as the game. People kind of watch it for the trailers,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's actually really interesting. This we could probably touch on this.
I'm gonna just quickly have a look because that is interesting about Ant-Man. Because that, oh my,
They had a
how has it got a
200.
6.2 on IMDb? It should have like a 4 or 5.
It had
If
200
that,
million as a budget, and on its opening weekend, it made 106 million. Guardians have made 118 million on their opening weekend, so it's
Mm.
already exceeded that. And
Oh,
what
oh, wow, that's bad. That's really bad.
what
So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania estimated budget was 200 mil,
mm,
double it, 400. Worldwide gross 475. They only made 75 million on that.
yeah.
That's not good.
And when
I
you
mean, it sounds like a
consider
lot.
But consider how much they're paying these VFX artists and actors, it's not much. And I
Yeah.
guess that goes into our other point of the whole sort of issue those
Yeah.
VFX artists were having during the cascade of Phase 4 projects that were coming out every single 6 weeks. Like, it was
Yeah.
insane, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
this was the
I
first film, wasn't it, that actually the VFX didn't
It
suck.
looked good. Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
great. Yeah. But I've got 2 points. The first time I recognized that the CGI and the VFX was terrible was in No Way Home, where things just looked like rubber.
There's that scene, isn't there, where Peter leaves the sanctum and he's talking to Flash. And I didn't
Mm.
realize at the time, but Flash is just he's just not on set. He's at a green screen and
Yeah, yeah,
they painted in a
yeah,
picture of him being in an IT. I think the
yeah,
only reason that makes sense is because it was filmed during the height of COVID. So I can sort of
yeah.
justify it on that level.
That's understandable. But there's a bit right where and everyone says, "Oh my god, it looks amazing" and all this shit. And it's when Peter Tom Holland's Peter. Which one?
Peter fucking
Tom
one.
Holland's one.
Should be
Yeah.
Peter 3, not Peter
Should
1.
be Peter. It should be Peter zero. No, he's standing in front of the news footage of J. Jonah Jameson just after Maze died, and it sort of like circles around him to show like the back of him looking at it.
Wide shot, yeah.
And yeah, and it looks like there's this account on TikTok, right? I'm gonna try and find it now. It might be a bit. No, I'm gonna have to edit that out. But that was Guardians though. Oh, I just played it again. Anyway, there's an account on TikTok and they use the same effect and it looks exactly the
That's what
same.
it looked. I get what you mean. It looked like fan art just got
Yeah,
pasted into the film. I was like, "What is going on?" Like, this
yeah,
looks like I would have
yeah.
seen it happen before. And yeah, I mean,
Oh my god. Yeah, go on.
it,
Sorry.
it really. Why this film worked was the cinematography slap. There was so much color and
Yeah,
vibrancy, and its creativity was. It had creativity. The other films were lacking creativity. They would always shoot the actors on like a sort of dark sort of stage with sort of dark lighting
yeah,
because it was this
yeah,
idea that you mentioned that they never when you have a set that is dependent on visual effects, you can't preempt what will look like because you haven't really made the choice yet. So it's like keeping it as this neutral color
yeah,
so you can post it in later. The effect that has is that the setting is just this empty sort of space with sand on the
yeah,
floor.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
shot of Ant-Man. Ant-Man, no. You remember Cassie running towards Ant-Man?
yeah.
It was
She
just
does
like,
too much running in that.
oh
Yeah.
God, it was just so like,
The thing is as well that I find, especially with Guardians, is such a perfect example of it. But to have a filmmaker such as James Gunn, where he's so precise, he's very his mind is made for filmmaking.
yeah.
I mean, he started it when he was in a Troma Studios, which just made terrible like B movie horror movies with practical effects
Mm.
and practical sets, and he understands how to film something when you haven't got everything you need and want to like to make it look great. And then you've got something like Ant-Man and Quantum Mania, whatever, Thor: Love and Thunder with a fucking floating head, and loads of other things where I'm sure the VFX artists like a couple of months before the film comes out and they're like, what does this look like? What does that look like? You haven't told us.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, just do what you want. Just do what you want. Oh, I don't mind. But James Gunn releases, test
Storyboards and
footage
yeah, a test
of
footage,
of
yeah.
of Rocket and Lila and Teefs and Floor playing about like, and he was like, I did this months before, or or during the process of writing. Like, he knows what everything's going to look like and what he wants it to look
That's
like.
it. When you go in with a plan, it will be executed properly.
Yeah. The issue is where, and I'm just gonna be succinct with it. It's filmmakers versus a production line.
Mm,
Um, like I know I keep using these examples, but they're recent examples. But Ant-Man and Thor, and even No Way Home with the VFX, it's just get this done
yeah,
now. Like,
deadline,
but with
deadline,
Guardians,
deadline.
there's
Yeah.
such love behind it, and it's like a love letter and a farewell again, and it it felt like a film. It felt like, you know, something that you can watch again, not
Yeah,
something that's just like, "Oh, fucking, we've got to sit through this to understand the next 4 quadrillion films about Thor and fucking,
yeah.
I don't know,
It was
so and so."
also, it was just exciting to watch because like being on new planets and stuff should be exciting. And they really aided with the VFX, with the practical sort of prop
Yeah,
design of like
yeah,
sets
no,
and stuff,
hundred
of all
percent.
these different shapes, and like when they were in that prison scene and the idea of a organic sort of
Yeah, it's
creature as
brilliant.
a prison, it was really sort of breathable and livable. And it's the
Yeah,
fact that they had this, they always have the same standard, not standard, but they always have the same entry point. Like with the quantum realm, that's a whole universe where you could have like explored and had the ideas of physics being different and maybe people being really, really small and different sizes and all this stuff. What do they do? Make a broccoli guy. And it's just like
yeah,
someone
yeah.
described it as the prequels, which I found as an insult because the prequels were sick, mate.
No, we have very different opinions on that, and I think that would
Yeah,
make a good video.
that's for another video.
Ah, something's happened. Oh, sorry, my mic just went weird. Yeah, that would make a different video. Um, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but this just felt like a breath of fresh air
Mm.
when it needed this so long ago, so long ago.
It's not even like a breath of fresh air. It's just a realignment to the standard that they reached before. They just
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
they hit
yeah,
the bar where it's been set. They were dropping for the longest time, and
yeah.
now they're getting back to where they were. If you go back to around 2017, 2018 period, I literally have it on this website of all the projects that came out. You literally had Spider-Man, no, Guardians, Doctor Strange, sorry. Like if I go down, the films get better. Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man 4, Black Panther, Infinity War. It was like banger after banger after
Yeah.
banger. They still have all these characters and they're doing sequels to those films, but it's like I'm saying it with such love because each film either had the balance of practical effects, visual effects, good story, and that's what James manages to do. He can bring all those elements together and make it
Mhm.
really balanced. Whereas now you either have like they just lack in all areas, it seems nowadays.
Which annoys me when people say that he can't do Superman because they think it's going to turn into a Marvel film, and with heart. And he's such a filmmaker that can not just touch on your own sort of feelings and tug at your heartstrings, but he uses himself and his own, you know
Story.
his yeah, and
Mm,
his
yeah.
feelings. And I mean, look, this is the fucking bottom bottom line standard of what filmmaking should be. This is
Yeah.
simple shit,
Yeah.
but like that's how far this has dropped with the MCU.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It turned into, like I said, it turned into a production line. You give someone like Taika Waititi Ragnarok. I thought Ragnarok was quite good,
Oh, it was.
but then Thor: Love and Thunder was just shit.
Yes, they gave
And
him I don't know what it is in the sense of like how much creative control a director can have in the sense of like
yeah,
what the screenwriter gives you and then what you can do in terms of directing and improvisation and stuff. Because at least with James, he's written the source material himself, so he has that sort of
Yeah, yeah,
ownership and can
yeah.
visualize it. With Taika, it seemed Ragnarok had the perfect balance of a strong story and his
Yeah.
own personal flair.
It's just
Love and
silly.
Thunder was imbalanced, and
Yeah.
I think as well, like that is why Marvel do recognize James isn't like a sort of custodian for Marvel films. He's an individual storyteller that can do superhero movies, but
Yeah.
he can
Horror.
he can
And
make Scooby Doo
yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Like he has
Yeah.
such range as a storyteller, and I think
Yeah.
when he went over to DC for Suicide Squad initially after they let him go in 2018, they realized they sort of undermined maybe his importance. And if you look at the sort of films that came out after that period, they were a little bit sort of mediocre with that. And I mean, it, it must be the reason why, in a sense of bringing him back, really served the story because they were going to still use the script.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Look, I mean, a script a script doesn't always make a film. A director has to go hand in hand with a script. It's like a
yeah,
song and a singer. You
yeah.
know, a song might have a beautiful, amazing lyrics that, pull at your heartstrings and make you cry. But if a singer sings it terribly, then it's not going to have the same effect.
He's a composer. That's what he is. He
Yeah, yeah,
knows where
yeah.
all the pieces
Yeah.
fit and he can conduct all the actors
Yeah.
together and all the shots and make it all work because the film isn't just acting, it's everything. And like, yeah, I think really the standard of Marvel films where it's been, he went back to that standard and that is why there is this idea of it being the end of the MCU because if he goes and he's the only one that somehow has this
Yeah.
ability to bring that back, like
Yeah.
what
No,
else
I
can
agree.
now? Like
I don't think it can. That's the thing. I
that's
think it
really
is over.
yeah, from past performance, I'd agree with you, but
Yeah.
from like past performance in the sense when I was talking about phase three, they
Yeah.
have done it consistently before. It's just I don't know, can James just take over from Kevin as well? He can be co-CEO and just jump back and forth and
As well, I just want to say, I know we've been saying that this has been the only good film recently, but I haven't seen Wakanda Forever yet.
have you not?
No. So
Yeah.
that um
Do you know what?
mainly just because after Thor or whatever the one before that was, after that I was just done with it for a
Yeah.
while. Um
I mean, I'd recommend it. I think
yeah, I
it
will
falls
watch it,
it,
yeah.
it has different sort of levels of sort of storytelling, obviously, because of the whole sort of the passing of
Chadwick
Chadwick
and
was really
yeah, it
hard
was
for obviously
terrible. Yeah.
all the fans and his family and stuff. So it has that to sort of elevate the film, and I think it really sort of brought back a realistic and it touched on human elements in a film. But
Yeah.
if we go to this idea of Marvel being, they would always call their comments fantastical, spectacular, sort of mystery. It's called Marvel, and Guardians, this film has Marvel in it, like as
Yeah,
in like
agreed.
that mystery and imagination and creativity. And I think like I'm sad if it is the end of the MCU because I'll just have to
Yeah.
keep rewatching this film because
Yeah.
like
No, agreed. But look, I mean, I think we've touched quite a lot on the
yeah,
film.
yeah.
I know it's not much of an in-depth review, but there's not much else we can say than it
It's
just there's not much else we can say
we're
than it was
used to
just
we're used to ruining films or
we're
just
used
like
to shit
chatting.
at the
Yeah,
minute.
exactly. We don't know what to
Uh,
do.
I'm still a bit gobsmacked that it was as good as it was, but I think what would you rate it out of 10? That's what
Okay.
I'm gonna
And is this the film singular or is it as a whole story for Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3?
I guess it would have to be singular.
Singular,
Yeah.
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 As it's I think considering what we got in the past and how the film brought in all the elements of drama, comedy, I've got to say 10. I have no like
Wow.
I have no issue with it. I didn't come out of the cinema like I did with No Way Home and feel a little bit like, oh, it was good, but they could have. Why didn't they do this? Why couldn't they have just done that and like hit my own sort of service? This film really had no fan service apart from the fact of Rocket calling himself Rocket Raccoon and
Yeah,
comic
or Howard the
accurate.
Duck.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't rely on fan service at all. It just had a great story,
No, it
and
didn't
that's
need it. Yeah.
yeah, and that's yeah, exactly. And I think 10. What do you think?
Um, I look. I mean, we haven't really spoken about negatives, which I think is good because I think the last two have just been negative, but
People have been depressed, yeah.
mostly, yeah. But I'd probably give it a 9, only because I never really rate anything 10 out of 10. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something negative about
Negative.
it. Maybe the improv bits were maybe a bit too long. Um,
Mm,
like the bits with the whole the buttons on the suit and the pulling the car door open and things like that. But even then, like that's a silly sort of negative because it cements the fact that these are a family and
it
that's what
worked for the story as well. I think the
yeah,
only thing that I had like maybe a small issue with. It's hard because it works because especially when you watch the film for the first time, you have an idea of like someone can die, and it really worked with
yeah,
Rocket where he did die and brought him back. But then to do the same thing with Peter again, I knew he wasn't going to die. I didn't believe it.
yeah,
His face went so puffy and stupid, like he looked like pre-Pratt on soldier serum and on superhero serum, and like him
yeah. I
repeating the
agree.
line that Groot said, "Oh, was that cool?" And it's the fact this guy has a space helmet anyway that he just didn't
Yeah,
take with him. Apparently, he left it in his
he
drawer.
left it.
But
Yeah,
then that didn't need to. I mean, don't get me wrong. Actually, I think when it did happen, I was feeling emotional. So because Peter and Rocket are the two main characters, so it did make sense to give them both that sort of what
yeah,
if. But it was like it sort of just felt like it was repeating maybe. But sometimes
yeah. But I'm glad that nobody did die because there's always that thing where, and it happened a lot with something like One Division. I'm not going to touch on that now, but where fans beforehand and even just media outlets and things, they see the trailer and they decide what's going to happen. They don't theorize on it. They decide like this is going to happen, and I'm going to be annoyed about it if it doesn't. And I saw a lot of that with Rocket and Drax dying, um, but they didn't, and nobody seems, you know, to be felt to to be felt to feel cheated by it or anything like that.
we
From
see
what
all
I've
their
seen,
arcs. Yeah.
yeah, and everyone just seems satisfied with it. And fuck it, 10 out of 10. I can't, I can't, I can't fault it. I
Who
actually
are
can't.
you? What have you done?
I know.
What have
I
you done with
actually.
Joe?
Well, you know what? I have to give the last film in the MCU a 10 out of 10. It has to be done.
It has to be, yeah, exactly. Because Joe's saying that he's not going to watch it anymore, so I have to then watch it by myself and then do a
Yeah,
podcast on my own, and Joe's just going to sit there.
I'll just sit there
Um,
and what happened. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that could be good. You could just reenact it for me.
yeah.
I'd like to see you reenact Agatha Coven of Chaos for
Oh
me.
dear. You know, I was looking through like the upcoming Marvel films and like when you said end of MCU, I was like, no, surely not. What's the next film? Next film, next film. There is not an MCU film coming out until this time next year. So we definitely have to
No,
be yeah.
we've got the Marvels,
Oh, sorry. I
but
do
that
count
doesn't
that as a
count.
film. I do count that as a film, sorry. I'm looking forward to the Marvels personally because I like Miss Marvel, but as in like films with like maybe that has more of a tone like Spider-Man being more fun and stuff. Like I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah,
like okay, the next film after the Marvels is like in a year's time. So
yeah,
I'm glad they're not spewing out content for the big screen as much anymore. Also the small screen. I think if we do a video on the future of the MCU, we'll just focus on the films for the moment because the TV can't be reviewed in the same sort of platformers film, I believe, because I think they have different challenges and stuff. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, just reading just generally the upcoming films and TV, I was like, oh, I might watch that. Oh, I'm not sure. Like feeling picky. So
yeah,
I am interested, but also a bit hesitant to see
cautious.
where,
Yeah,
yeah, cautious where the MCU is gonna head. But that's another day, that's another video for
yeah. I think as
viewers
well.
anyways.
Like I know that we've sort of discussed that our next one will be sort of a lead up to what will be quite a big one. I feel a big episode of the curse of the MCU and the
Mm,
past, the present, and the future of it all. Um, but well, I think we'll do a little game before then, in
yeah,
between. Not
yeah.
now, sadly, but
Oh,
in between then. In between then,
I
we'll
like
figure something out. Well, that'd be good. That will be good.
yeah, stay
But
tuned.
yeah, I mean, on Guardians, 10 out of 10 for me. It was just a perfect ending, a perfect farewell, perfect farewell. Um, made me tear up, made me laugh. All you
Yeah,
want is all you want from a film.
exactly.
Look, there's some bits that people might go, "Oh, that was over the top" or whatever, but there's so many different people that are built with mindsets now of how Marvel should be, and but we've been there since the OG.
We
So
know.
yeah, we
Whatever you
know,
think doesn't
we know. No,
matter. We
no. Look,
decide.
everyone's opinion's valid, but this is just
This
to me
film
it was a
created no
perfect ending.
division. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't believe. I think it brought people together,
yeah.
which Marvel hasn't done in a while, and that is why I don't think I've got nothing. That made no
No,
sense. I have got nothing left.
the dog days are over. I
Yeah,
think
man.
we've got nothing left.